This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience. Hi everybody, Jacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we're going to be reviewing a historic perfume. Maybe a lot of people don't know it, but it is historic in terms of the legacy that it left behind in terms of its fashion house that's at the back and at the core of this perfume. We will be reviewing Cabotine by Grès. Here's the box. I have the current formulation of it. Eau de Parfum, 100 ml. By the historic Madame Grès. Before I spray the perfume and get to it, I would like to inform you that if you do like my videos, you can consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. You can also push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today to gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, Super Jacob all spelled together there, and gain access to extra perks there as well. And I would like to thank the patrons and members that have already pledged to the Fashion Bunker. Your support means really a lot to me. And I would also like to thank my live co-chatters because this video is being filmed live in front of a virtual studio audience. So I have my all my chatters, the chit-chatters, my co-reviewers of this perfume in the chat here to the side and on the sidebar. So thank you guys so much for being with me today. Let's get to the review of Cabotine by Grès. I was aware of this perfume for a longer time, but never wore it or went for it until, and I have to give credit where credit is due, one of my lovely followers on Instagram, and I also follow him on Instagram, sent me a photo a couple of weeks ago and said, "Hey Jacob, I just got this perfume and it's so lovely. I just wanted to share it with you," and sent me a photo, went through the extra effort to take a photo and send the photo of the perfume and tell me like how much he really loves it. So I would just like to say thank you to Edu von Gomez. He's a wig maker and a makeup artist, and checks it out. Like, the profile is amazing. His wigs are incredible. So Edu von Gomez, thank you so much for recommending me to get back into Cabotine. Thanks to you, I'm making this video. So here you can also check out, here I have like Edu Gomez, that's his Instagram profile. Check out some of the wigs down there as well. Amazing. Thank you so much, sweetie. So Edu sent me a photo and we exchanged a couple of information, like notes about it and what he felt. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a go. So I did. And well, first I was surprised that the price was so low. This one is considered a cheapie today. Let's spray it on and then we're going to get to the details. What was the exact? 1990 was the release date. So right now you can get it for around $15 or €15 or 15 pounds. 100 ml bottle. Flows, the mist, I still see it backlit by the spotlights. It's ooh, child, this one is opulence. You get everything. Yeah. Opulent. Oh, child, you get everything. Listen, let me read briefly the interesting concept behind this one because, well, before I read the concept, let me touch base on Madame Grès and the Maison Grès. So the fashion designer, the haute couture designer, Madame Grès, who passed away in the early 90s, shortly after this perfume was released, actually. So she did smell it at its inception. She's one of the most mythological creatures and couturiers of France and Paris. Her pleated and almost Grecian statuesque looking clothing and garments are just historical and have still to this day are used as inspiration to a lot of new designers and a lot of established designers. Her best friends were Yves Saint Laurent and Hubert de Givenchy. So she was a darling of French haute couture, and she dressed the Duchess of Windsor. She dressed Jacqueline Kennedy. You know, Grace Kelly. It's incredible what this woman achieved, and at the same time how secretive and reclusive she was, and how almost nothing about her life was ever shared by her, ever, till her dying day. And even after that, nothing, almost nothing. Her first perfume was Cabochard, and Cabochard means stubborn. Could you imagine her first perfume? She called it stubborn because she had a stubborn wit. She was such a perfectionist. She actually studied like sculpting architecture, and then from that moved on to fashion and implemented all the aesthetics of sculpting and architecture into fashion. So I was wondering, would she have implemented that into perfumery as well? Now, we will be reviewing Cabochard as well in the future. Not right now. We're reviewing the smaller sister of Cabochard, Cabotine, which came out decades after Cabochard. So this is a 90s fragrance. And does this reflect also her pleating and creating of patterns of this yards and yards and miles of fabric of jersey, and then pulling it all together to create the folding and the pleating of the garments? Is that translated into perfume poetry as well with Cabotine? Yes and no. By the 90s, the Grès Maison was already suffering a lot of economical damage and loss. It was the end of the Maison. It was failing, unfortunately. But the perfumes were still kind of sustaining themselves and bringing in at least some money to keep the fashion part of the business going. And so Cabotine was kind of thought to be, was thought as a perfume to be released on a budget. One of those concepts of a big maison working on a budget. And in fact, in the creator's imagination, Cabotine is a daughter of Cabochard, a younger generation perfume, which has preserved the elegance and distinction of Cabochard. It was created with love and enthusiasm, but with a very limited budget, and it became a classic of the 90s era. Cabotine was created by Jean-Claude Delville, and he was expected to make a light but lasting perfume, what was a hard task to do, because as we know, whatever is light is quite ethereal and fleeting, usually citrusy tones. A light perfume is something that is gone after half an hour, 1 hour. But they wanted something light that sticks around. What was a hard task to do? The perfumer found its formula in floral aldehyde accord and presented a transparent fragrance with green, floral, and sharp aldehyde notes. The perfume is very light, easy to wear, and at the same time tenacious. It achieved success regardless of very limited advertising and very limited promotional support. The composition is created around the ginger lily, also known as a butterfly lily, from the Himalayas, a Himalayan large-petaled white flower growing in harsh, high mountains climate. This plant blooms for only a few weeks in the springtime, and each flower lives only for a few hours, what makes it difficult, almost impossible to extract the oil. An IFF pioneering researcher, Dr. Braja Mokherjee, found a way to analyze the oil structure using the living flower technique and to copy the fragrance of the ginger lily, what enabled the industrial production. Cabotine is the first perfume which contains ginger lily in its composition. The top notes contain black currant buds. I'm going to coriander, orange blossom, cassia, plum, tangerine, and peach. Talk about a light perfume, by the way. Middle notes: tuberose, hyacinth, carnation, ginger, jasmine, ilang ilang, freesia, rose, iris, heliotrope, violet. Talk about a light perfume. Base notes: vetiver, civet, black currant. Again, we had black currant in the top notes. It's also in the base notes. Musk, sandalwood, cedar, amber, tonka bean, and vanilla. And of course, in the mid notes, we have the ginger lily or the butterfly lily. I mean, yeah. A light perfume, this is not. It's not. It's very sophisticated though. It has heft, it has a texture to it. It is a very interesting slithering balance between sweet and green citrusy. Like it's a floral that is not sweet but kind of like has a memory of sweetness, but then it also has a wet smell to it, but a powdery smell to it as well. Violets. Right now on my skin, I'm sensing a lot of, the other day I didn't, but now I have a lot of violet. I smell it out a lot. Hyacinth as well. I don't get too much of the plum. I do get the orange blossom. I get the rose. Yeah, heliotrope. I don't get any civet. I do not think that in the current formulation they have any civet. I mean, they probably have some substitute. I do get the vetiver, definitely. Heliotrope. Ilang ilang. Not really. But you know, it has a depth. It's a bizarre perfume. It stays in the surface. Perhaps that's what they meant by saying they wanted to create a light formula that lasts long, like a light scent that lasts long. I think what I could define as light for me is the fact that it is very much on the surface. It smells elevated, not in terms of, oh, it's like noble, elevated. It smells elevated in terms of it's up there. It's like I don't know, it feels like it's one plane above the skin. It's like floating here rather than being on skin. It's not a very skin type of scent. It has good projection, but it's here. It's like it starts from here instead of from there. And that's what makes it kind of airy. It gives this impression of being here and emanating from here, and then from here kind of traveling on. And despite it being aldehydic and very synthetic, it does have a natural hue to it. It has almost a floral, smoky hue to it. It's like a green, smoky, powdery, rosy smell, which could be this ginger, this Himalayan ginger. What do they call it? Tiger lily. I always want to say tiger lily. Talk about cultural appropriation again. The ginger lily or the butterfly lily. It's a very, very specific smell, you guys. It's like a creamy, at the same time dry rose combined with something which you don't smell in any other perfume. And this could be maybe this, I say tiger lily again. What's wrong with me? The butterfly lily, the ginger lily, butterfly lily. Yeah, it has a buttery smell. That, and usually when a perfume has a floral buttery smell, I kind of smell out the ilang ilang. But in this case, it's probably, even though this perfume does have ilang ilang listed in the notes, it's probably the Buddha Lily. It's like a green buttery smell. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. A green buttery smell, like a green butter with flowers in it. It's it's so bizarre. I think I take back the fact that it's wet. It smells dry but buttery at the same time. And the buttery tone to it can give it a feeling of being wet, but it's not. It's just that it's kind of oily in the smell, like how oily butter can be. And dusty, earthy. There's an earthy quality to it as well. A green, earthy quality. Now, the lid is interesting. It's green. The liquid is kind of a green, yellow green. The text Cabotine is green. The lid is it's all about green. And even the packaging has these little tiny, I guess these are the butter lilies there. These little white-green flowers. You could see them at certain angles because it is elevated. The paper here is elevated, embossed in some ways. So these little dots are actually just the centers of these big white flowers. And Lalique Beauty is now the owner, basically, of or are producing Parfum Grès, Les Parfums Grès. Zurich, Switzerland is the headquarters, and Lalique Beauty is the producer, the manufacturer. And this is the bottom of the bottle, you guys. Current formulation. Now, let's read. My hair's a mess. Sorry about that. There's a text in French and in English in the back of the box that describes the fragrance. It says, floral aldehydic, surprising, sensuous, captivating. The fragrance opens on a surprising whirlwind of mandarin, ginger, and ylang ylang as a prelude to the outburst of a unique floral accord. In the heart note, tuberoses and hyacinths, sensuous corollas mingle with ginger lily. This floral symphony lies on a dry down blending patchouli, sandalwood, musk, and black currant. It is a highly conceptual perfume. This is not a perfume you love for the love of a comfortable fragrance. This is a perfume you love if you want something sophisticated that doesn't... It's very sophisticated because, like, if you really, really try to understand the smell, you really sense out so much depth in it, and yet they managed to make it light. It's like elevated. I think the aldehydes also bubble it up. It's like they managed to create an aldehydic fragrance where the aldehydes are underneath all the other ingredients. So, in fact, aldehydes are usually the bubbly, sparkly thing on top of a perfume, like champagne bubbles. In this case, I have the feeling the aldehydes are underneath all the other green ingredients, and they bubble up. They try to come out to the surface, but by kind of being underneath all the other ingredients, they keep pushing the other ingredients high as well. And by pushing them from underneath, they kind of create this illusion of this perfume being elevated, despite it being a heavy thing. So it's highly conceptual that way because it does play with lightness and heaviness constantly, and there's this green. It's like a study on the color green. It gives you all nuances of green. It gives you a grassy green, a fresh grassy green. It gives you a synthetic green. It gives you a green candy, like watermelon green. It gives you a dry aldehydic green. But it also gives you bodily fluid type of sweat in there as well. It has a sexuality to it. And then there's that rose and violet and tuberose that kind of give it grace, that don't just allow it to be just green, but they give it a tingle, a little sparkle of rose, of peachy hues as well inside of that green. And it's a beautiful perfume, you guys. It really is beautiful. You just really have to not wear it thinking, oh, it's a comforting scent. It's like wearing those perfumes that you just know you feel like you're at home whenever you put them on. This one requires thought. And in that respect, I think Cabotine is very suited for Madame Grey's artistry, because her dresses also require so much study and accuracy and precision in order for them to be the way that they are. This perfume, to be appreciated, also needs to be analyzed from that point of view. You have to see every ingredient utilized in this perfume as one of the pleats of the entire fragrance, which is kind of like to be conceived in compared to her dresses, her pleated dresses. You have to conceive and envision every ingredient of this perfume like one pleat. And then when they all kind of fold in together, they give you this vision of Cabotine, which I mean, I know, Civet isn't in here anymore, but there is a skankiness. There's like a little animalic, indolic touch to it. So that sophistication of the pleating and the dress and the composition is worn by a human ultimately, with all the liquids that brings to the table. The human, we're not talking about a plastic mannequin that just stands there. It's a walking, living creature with skin, its own essential oils. So this one does have a sexuality to it. It has a very natural tone to it. And then it has also this very artificial tone to it. There's a lot of different facets within it, all playing on another nuance and hue of the color green. And green being, coincidentally, the color of one of mine, if not my favorite, Madame Grey dress, which is this beautiful gris pleated dress that kind of has a leaf growing on the side of it. If you wish to see that dress, you could become a member of my channel today, join today, or become a patron, Super Well Spelled Together. I do show that dress in an exclusive video to Patreon and my members, tier 2 members on my YouTube channel. So there's more detail about Madame Grey if you wish to see that video. It's also an exclusive video for my members and patrons. A video where I talk about the history of Madame Grey, her life, her heritage, her work. I showcase a lot of her clothes and that particular green dress, which if I were to give that green dress a smell, a perfume, it would be Cabotine. It's playful, it's witty, it's fresh, even though, and this is again another really interesting contrast. Madame Grey's clothes, especially the pleated ones, the Grecian goddess-looking dresses that were inspired by ancient Greek sculptures, there's that duality about those dresses. They are depicting and kind of directly representing something from the past, of humanity, the First Republic of Greece. And at the same time, they're modern because they're made in modern day times. This perfume also has that very interesting trajectory. There is the history. There's a heft to it that smells like a historic perfume from the past. But there's also a lightheartedness in it that is very modern, that is very, very something that you would not have seen in 20s, and that you would not have smelled in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s perfumery. And there's an indolic aspect to it, something like, I mean, I smell out the civet in here. It's the gland of the butt of a little animal. I mean, it smells, it has a little bit of that skankiness in it. poopy a little bit. Now you're going to be like, oh my God, that's so gross. Well, sometimes it takes poop and barf to create a beautiful smell. Look at ambergris, for example. And combined with the flowers, there's this gorgeous balance. I mean, it's a beautiful perfume, you guys. It's not something that you can just, let's just spritz it all over every day. It demands attention. It is a very interesting also bridge, not just between, the past and the future, like Madame Grey's dresses. They're like a link from the past to the present. But this one is also a link between the 80s and the 90s. It has a very 80s subtone, but it also has this entering into the 90s type of vibe. It almost smells like, have you guys seen Luc Besson's movie, The Fifth Element? Or have you also seen his The Professional? Natalie Portman's first movie, by the way. She was only like 12 years old back then. This is what both, I don't know why I associated to those movies, but both The Fifth Element and The Professional, both of the female characters in each one of the two, Mila Jovovich in one case and Natalie Portman in the other, would be wearing this one. Their characters, I envisioned them wearing this one. This is that type of 90s fragrance. So it binds the past to the present, but it also has a vision towards the future. It's very Star Trek to me, this perfume. This could be really on board a Star Trek spaceship. It's very much a perfume you would wear if you're on the Star Trek fleet and you're going to a new planet and you're encountering a new species of life forms. And the perfume that you wear to encounter them, and an official first meet and greet, you kind of wear this to represent you and your home. Because this encompasses a lot of different times. So it's kind of a unity of a lot of different things. It's very much something an ambassador would wear to an official meeting and gathering of interplanetary systems meeting up to discuss new trade deals and new cultural exchange plans and programs. It's like a synthetic memory of planet Earth to take to the future. It's very fascinating. And despite the fact that it's a cheapie now, for $15 you get 100 ml eau de parfum with this intensity. Like, they maintained the intensity but lowered the price. Respect. Like, wow. Like, this one delivers, you guys. It really delivers. I mean, it's worth, if you want something with strong projection, sillage, and longevity, like, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. For the buck, you really get a bang for your money here. Now, whether or not you'll like the smell, it's a different issue. But longevity and projection are beast. Question is, do you like something synthetic green that really has a vision of Star Trek in it, and its blood? I love it. But I love science fiction that way. And I also love The Fifth Element. And I love the movie The Professional. But I could not wear this every day because there's a dusty aspect to it. And that animalic civet and the dust, the green dust and the civet in here suffocate you sometimes. And it's something you can't deal with on a daily basis. I can deal with it like now when I'm in this beautiful cultural environment with you guys. We're all reviewing it together. This elevates my mood. This makes me feel amazing. But if I were to just like out and about, supermarket shopping, wearing this one needs a special occasion. It really does. This one needs the proper surrounding, the proper illumination, the proper mood, the proper cultural exchange for it to really be umped to that level. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. If you give it a low environment, by that I mean not intellectually stimulating, you might not like it, But if you're going to wear it to some special exchange moment, like these ambassadors from these different planets meeting together, then this one then really, really works. It's all about the context. Within the right framework and right context, Cabotine is really mean in the best of ways. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Just another quick note on the bottle. It almost looks like, the bottom part is like the roots of this little tiny plant. So could you imagine like this is like planted on the soil? And then when you pull this out, this little floral bouquet that looks almost like a cauliflower or broccoli. But it's also like a little root. So you pull it out of the ground and then like this is the root underneath the ground for this little flower. This could be this butter lily envisioned in green as well. But the bottle itself also has something alien-esque about it in its shape. It almost looks like I don't know. It almost looks like it has a... Oh, thank you for subscribing. It almost looks like a brain of some sorts. And then this is like cut in, which is a really weird solution. They could have just closed it off and made it completely round the bottle, like down here. But they kind of went for this weird... But it kind of works, and it's in the strangeness of it all. It's almost like a Super Mario game. One of those little roots, Super Mario Brothers 2 in particular, when he's pulling out all of those little foods and roots that he eats or throws at other people. This looks like one of those, could be one of those items, one of those plants from Super Mario Brothers 2. Now, again, also in that case, it's kind of like a vision of the future when this, perfume was made. I mean, of course, Super Mario already existed in 1990 when this perfume was released, but it almost feels like... could have been from that video game. But again, another vision of the future. Perfume that connects us to the past through some of the ingredients, but also has a vision of the future. And I was just looking at how it kind of, if I match it to my eyes, it's almost like a mask. Like that. Ooh. So, another garment to wear by one of the ambassadors. Could be ornamental as well. Okay, let me get to... Thank you for listening to my review. Let me get to the chats. What are you guys saying? Remember I mentioned this in the previous live chat sessions. It's finally getting a review, says just another Roger. Yes, it is. Brendan says, the bottle is so cheesy. Haha. The top is good quality, though. Debbie says, I don't know. I have had it about 4 or 5 years. Richmond says, Audrey, I think you might be right about something. I don't know what. It's a classic at this point, says Brendan. Amelia says, yes, Edu, we follow each other. His wigs are awesome. Jack says, his wigs look amazing. They do look really, really, really beautiful. Richmond says, I'm so happy at Audrey Jane as in the vintages. Brandon says, they should reshape the cap. Haha. Well, there was a different cap as well. There's one cap that kind of like with flowers laying on 3 sides. This is kind of a shorter version of the cap. Which is, I guess, cheaper to make, but it's still beautifully done. It's like a thick, beautiful piece of plastic. It's nice to touch. Less green plastic, says Brandon. Brandon says, iconic designs. Edu says, thank you, dear Jacob. Edu, sweetie. Oh, I didn't know you were here. Oh, I'm so happy you joined the video. Edu, no, thank you. Thank you for bringing this back to my attention. MK says, strange, from my teenage memory, it used to be quite fresh and sweet. Brendan said, did Charles, who? Oh, we're not going to do that. Rara said, no, wait, sorry. Rara says, I have to look into into Madame Grey's designs. I'm only familiar with the perfumes. Oh, Rara, incredible designs. Rara says, I am more of a cabochon girl myself. Oh, we're going to review cabochon too, don't you worry. sooner or later. I prefer Cabochon by Grès, says just another Roger. Brandon is like showing the RuPaul's Drag Race, like Appelants, the flag, I guess. Um, I Brandon says I want to buy a bottle. Brandon says they could be so descriptive. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Thank you. Oh, Melly says Madame Grès is now one of my favorite designers after today learning about her. Melly says, oh, okay, leather. Not my cup of tea. Oh, well, no, it's not leathery though. It's not leathery. I don't know why what you think it smells like Fahrenheit? No, it doesn't. Oh, but one thing it does have similarities with um, poison, tendre, tendre poison, not the regular poison, tendre, the flanker. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, this one is kind of imitating tendre. It's the other way around. Tendre came out 4 years after Cabotine. So think about that. It has a lot of similarities to poison tendre or eau tendre or just tendre. The tender poison in the green bottle. A lot of similarities. But tender poison came out 4 years after Cabotine. Mara says, yes, to me it is a leather bag or jacket. Others get more tobacco. No, I'm very floral. On my skin, it's just powdery and flowers. There's honey in this baby, says Emilio. Debbie says, the eau de toilette is light. I mean, the eau de parfum is not light. Brendan says, this is along miyake in a sour way. It does have a sour note to it. Sour, like lemon type of sour in the mouth. Emilio says, sophistication, class, and where it's at. Rara says, no, I haven't. I like the original Femme, but don't own it. I do have and love a scent. Brendan says, it's pungent. I love pungent floral, says Melly. It is a pungent floral. Melly says, I'm needing to try this now. Brendan says, you'll love it, Melly. Amelia says, Melly, this is a very green floral. It's fresh, soapy, powdery, and kind of bitter. It's really beautiful. Maximo says, hey everyone, hope everyone is having a nice evening. Thank you, Maximo. Hope you're having a nice evening too. Has anyone ever... Oh, I don't know. Oh, has anyone ever bought one of those fashion, like catwalk coffee table books? There is a book also on Madame Grès. There was, I don't know if it's still in production. Emilio says, it doesn't really smell like a 90s perfume. It's very classic. Everything about it screams old school bath products. Melly says, not sure about the butter smell. Smells a bit rainy, says Brendan. Melly says, oh, like Jean Nate Emilio. Jean Nate? I don't know. A romantic evening, Brendan says. Rich Mitch says, apple-bottomed alien. Thick. Interesting description. Thank you for subscribing, Jeffrey. So a lot of pineapples. Brandon is sending us pineapple. There's a thumbnail. Pineapples everywhere. MK says, Jacob, this bottle is a much simplified version of the 90s original bottle. Jack says, the bottle looks kind of Green Man-esque. He's a spiritual being. Oh, I'll be looking out for... Wait, okay. Cabochon is leather, but not Cabotine. No, Cabotine is not leather. Oh, I'll be looking out for that Cabochon review, Rara says. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. Melly says, I don't remember Tender Poison being sharp. Well, Tender Poison also has that caramel in it, which softens the edges a little bit, rounds the edges a little bit, you know. I mean, they had 4 years to work on this formula, you know, like Dior's team smelled it and then like, okay, they rounded it up a little bit more. And yet, look, who survived? Tender Poison was discontinued. This one still lives on. Thank you, guys. Actually, this is a great way to end it. Tender Poison was discontinued. This one still lives on. That should be enough for you to know. That's like the most important thing. Thank you guys so much for watching this review and for co-reviewing the perfume with me. If you haven't yet but like my content, then consider subscribing to my channel. Push that subscription button, and also push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today of the Fashion Bunker community. You can also join me on Patreon, Super Decobal spelled together. Thank you to all my patrons who are supporting, and my members who are supporting my channel, who have pledged already. Without you, the channel would not be working the way it is right now. Thank you guys so much. And for the occasion, scrolling on the sidebar here, you have it, just like the credits rolling at the end of any really good movie. My co-producers of the show. Thank you guys so much, the members and the patrons. If you want to be listed in this list as well, become a member today or a patron. Or send us a super chat. That's going to get you on the list as well for this video. Well, for the next video, obviously. Well, for the video in which you do give the super chat for. What else can I tell you guys? Perfumes, 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 perfumes. Perfumes are a complicated thing. They're a very intimate thing. They're a very personal thing. You either connect with them or you don't. They either tell you a story when you smell them or they don't. Sometimes they don't tell you a story. Sometimes it takes years before they start whispering to you. Because you are ready, maybe in 10 years from now, you are ready to listen to it. Or maybe 5 years from now, you finally understand the language that they speak and you can hear them all of a sudden. That's how bizarre perfumes are. They come from different planets. They live in a world of their own and they have their own special language. And not every language is for everybody. You know, you can't learn all the languages. And the perfumes also don't learn your language. They speak their own language. And if, you know, they're like these little queens and kings. And they're sitting there on their throne, everlasting. And then you either can come up to them and acknowledge their presence or you just walk away. But that's ultimately what perfumes are. They're like these solid rock formations in our lives, and we climb over them and underneath them and above them, and then but we realize every time we come to the top of that mountain, there's always a key on the top of every one of those mountains, and that key is a perfume, and those keys open up doors to memories and emotions and feelings and internal poetry like nothing else does. That's the magic of perfumes, including the magic of Cabotine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye.